Hey guys, welcome to the Asian American talk show. Thanks, give it up. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you for the welcome to Chinatown Hub. This is a really special space. It just opened. Let's hear it for them again. Yeah. Isn't that nice? Gosh, this is a really special time for me. Well, a little about myself. I'm Andrea Wang. I'm Chinese, so some people say Wang, right? And I've had Chinese people correct me on the pronunciation of my name, which is fine, right? I've also had white people correct me on the pronunciation of my name. That's a little whack, right? Yeah, I remember it's a live show, but you're also allowed to laugh and make noise, by the way. Don't be scared, guys. Okay, what was I saying? Okay, so I was a kid, and I was at summer camp, about 13, signing in, and I was like, hi, my name's Andrea Wang. And the white counselor said, oh, you mean Wang? That's weird. But luckily, I was a super empowered, young Asian American woman, and I reacted the way a empowered Asian American woman would, right? Oh, sorry. Tyler. Yeah. Oh, gosh. All right, let's get to the real stuff. I am reeling from a recent breakup. Anybody else in here super sad? No, you're all married and happy. Come on, guys, give me something. I'm hurting up here. Oh, I want him back. Do I? Do I want him back? No, that's right. Thank you. Okay, I knew I could count on you guys. Yes. Okay, good. I'm in the right place. Gosh, it's so good to be here because, I feel so supported. I've been struggling so much, but hope is the best, right? Chinatown, the community's so supportive. New York is supportive. I even asked my Uber driver for advice. I was like, hey, I've been going through a breakup. Anything you give me, anything. I need it right now. I'm desperate. He said, there is a wonderful book that has all the answers you need. It's called the Quran. I'm desperate, okay? I'm out here praying 5 times a day for a fat ass and a peace of mind. All right, it's good. It sucks because I'm in it right now. You guys remember what it's like to be in it? I'm cycling through all the emotions. I don't know how I feel. That game, fuck, marry, kill. All of them. I want all of them. I'm in it right now. She knows. She knows. Thank you for coming to the show. Gosh, it's just... Here's the thing, though. I do have to take ownership of my own wrongdoings, right? There's some choices that I made that led me down the wrong path. For example, it was my choice to date a man in 2023. That was on me. That was on me. That was on me. The other thing, I did... So here's why it's on me. I'm a graphic designer. That's true. It's my career. Thank you so much. Asian creatives out here, make some noise, right? Okay, that's what I thought, right? So I did this to myself. I really did bring this upon myself. I'm a graphic designer, which means I've always been the friend that people ask to Photoshop their exes out of their Christmas card picture. And I would do it like a cold-blooded killer, marquee tool, Command X. And what goes around comes around, right? And now I'm the one being thrown to the curb. It hurts. But that's what you get for playing God, right? I'm like the Henry Kissinger of Christmas card pictures. Too soon? Okay. I am a graphic designer, that much is true, and I've been working on some super relatable crowd work. So I don't want to divide the room too much, but I'm gonna have you guys make some noise for either Helvetica or Ariel, right? You guys are gonna love this. I've been doing this in comedy clubs all over Manhattan. They love it. All right, ready? All right, make some noise, Team Ariel. Okay, how about Helvetica? Okay, we don't know what that means, but I'm gonna write that down. It's my research. All right, what about Papyrus and Comic Sans? All right, Papyrus? No, lukewarm. Comic Sans? Okay, we love it. We love to hate her, all right? We love to hate her. Here's the thing about fonts. Like, people like to say that Comic Sans is like a bad font, right? But if you know a little bit about design or typography, you'll know that there's not really such thing as a bad font. It's more about like the context that it's used in. It's like the wrong context, right? So I think if you are more like attuned to typography and noticing letters and what context that they're in, you can start to notice these distinctions. Just remember, right? No such thing as a bad font, just the wrong context. Except if you use Calibri, you're kind of like a fascist, I think. But that's my take. Asian creatives. All right, Asian creatives. We got any designers here? Okay, photographers? Anybody? Who's that? Photographers. Okay, great. What kind of like shots do you take out of my depth? You press the button? Okay, sorry. I respect your work. Do you work with like, it's like portraits, it's landscapes, what do you do?
Still lifes and portraits.
Still lifes, you work like for an agency, like ads or, personal practice?
Yeah, like commercial stuff.
Commercials. What's like a client you really liked working with?
I like working with Fly by Jing.
Fly by Jing, okay. Asian American representation, make some noise. Let's go. Can you help me take like a really good like thirst trap picture?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna message you on LinkedIn. Okay. Cool. That's cool. All right, here's the thing. I'm hurting, but I'll be okay. I did go on like some weird Tinder dates. Does anybody use Tinder? Or no, it's like the worst one, right? Everybody already knows this. So why was I do? What do you guys all on Hinge and then you filter by race and stuff? Is that what we all are like? That's what you're like supposed to do, right? Because we're like very proud. Okay. Come on, get him back, get him back. I went on weird Tinder dates. It's the worst one. It's kind of like a big hookup app. And I also went on very unsure about what I wanted, which is a big mistake, right? Because I went on a date with someone who was very much the opposite. I get there and he's like, hey, Andrea, I just want to let you know I'm only looking for a hookup. Like, oh, okay, I don't really want to do that. Sorry. He's like, okay, so you want a relationship then? Well, I'm not really ready for that either. Okay, so what do you want? Right? And then at the time, I was living in Bushwick in my artist basement apartment room. I was like, I think because I live in a basement, I just want to sleep over at someone's place, maybe on the side facing the window. This whole time I thought I was looking for love and I was just vitamin D deficient. You guys know what that feels like? What's your favorite part about being Asian?
Fun.
She said fun. She said we're fun. What kind of Asian are you? You're Filipino? Oh, I love that. You guys are like super swag, right? Give it up for Filipinos. All right. You know what? Thank you guys so much for coming. You guys are so supportive and great. I feel ready to date again now because of the energy you've given me. Isn't that so nice? Okay, but you guys aren't ready. You're not here to see me. You're here to see someone so incredible. Hope is the host of this show, the first Asian American talk show. We actually met at an Asian comedy festival about 2 years ago, and I super bombed, like really hard. But she was so nice to me, and we chatted, and I'm here 2 years later, and she's so supportive of me continuing to bomb, and I love that. She's the best, So without further ado, please make some noise for the awesome, very stylish, amazing host for the evening, Hope King, everybody. Let's hear it for Hope. Where is she? Oh, look at her. I love that.
that Andrea said is true, and I think she was the funniest person that I saw at the comedy show. So I do this sometimes where I'll like stalk the stars after the show, and I'll like follow them backstage, and I'll just kind of like linger and see if they'll comment. Oh, Margaret! Hey, Margaret! You're here! And Willa! Oh my gosh, I'm so. Is it not on? Oh my god, what an amateur move! Is the Zoom mic on? Hello. Oh my gosh, there we go. Do you want me to start that entire thing over? No, you don't want that. What was I talking about? Oh my god, yes. Okay, so we met at the comedy festival, and I was just kind of like stalking her after her show. And she kind of was like, all right, I should go say hi to her because this girl's been waiting for me. And I told her, I liked your jokes so much that I took notes. And I have all her jokes written down from that night. My favorite one from that night was, tell the one about the red flag. Wait, should I pull my notes up? Okay, here we go. Literally. These are my notes from Andrea's set. Here we go.
Oh, she was lying.
Nope. Oh man, it's so long. My type are men who are colorblind, so they can't see my red flags. My delivery was not as good as yours that night.
That's funny.
But I audibly cracked up, and I have I texted my friend immediately after that, because that's who I am. And I see a lot of friendly faces in the audience. Margaret and Willa, whom I've known since high school. Willa, who is Margaret's amazing roommate. I met for Margaret's birthday. No, it was actually Willa's birthday. And next to Willa is a news who actually is one of the co-founders of Thanks. And Deborah is also in the audience, who's also a co-founder of Thanks. And I'm giving you all this background because just to kind of set this up, and I know Andrea did too, but so my day job is in news. Horrible for your mental health, like absolutely awful. And I have to say, it was one of those decisions that I made during the pandemic because there are so few Asian journalists where I felt the responsibility to step up and use my platform to tell stories about our community. And and it took me a while, not only because, when you're starting out in news, you're assigned kind of, random stories to cover, you're working your way through your career, like all of you know, right? And I didn't have the capital to kind of flex and say, you know what, I need this extra time this weekend to do something else. But also because I didn't have, frankly, the courage to talk about the stories from our community. I'm a lot older than many of you in the audience, which makes me feel good because that means I'm not too old where you guys aren't coming out. But also because it's to give you context in that the moment that we're in now, there's so much more empowerment in the community than there was even 4 years ago. And we know it's because of the brutality. And it is so sad and it sucks so much that we had to come together through that. But if that's what it takes and that's what it took, then I think we're all gonna be better for it. And that's why you guys are all here tonight. I'm so grateful for all of you to make it out after your busy day. Or, Willa, I know you still have to work after this. So she's got to do that, but also to the Welcome to Chinatown team, Vic, Jackie, Jeff, Jeff, Harry. I don't know where Harry is right now. He might be upstairs with his curved screen. They have been supporters of this vision since the beginning. I came to know them through also, I'm sure like many of you, social media, and just to be honest with you, like the work that they were doing when Vic had a full-time job and she was running for public office and to build this, that also gave me the courage and confidence saying, you know what, I can do something, right? And now that they're letting me use their space and and just their team, I'm super grateful for that, for News and for Deborah as well for coming out tonight and on the 2.5 years that I've reiterated this. And last thanks, I promise, and then we'll get to the actual show. My partner, Ryan, who is manning this entire setup, he and I met 7 years ago at Cheddar, which is a live streaming network. So it's sort of a full circle moment for us to start this live streaming platform together. And he is I think my partner in life. So thank you, Ryan, for making everything possible, for funding a lot of the equipment to get this started, and figuring it all out, turning our living room into his workshop. So anyway, thank you guys again. We're gonna have a lot of fun tonight. This is gonna be interactive. I wanted to be a comedian when I was little, and my mom and my dad said, "Oh, you wanna just panhandle?" Like they equated that, right? And so they killed my dreams right away. But this is gonna be really fun. And Andrea and I are gonna also welcome our first guest. She is also an amazing artist, Haruko Hayakawa. Let me give you your intro. She is a CG artist based in Brooklyn, specializing in art for editorial outlets, brands, and ad campaigns, and her clients include Google, the New York Times, 88 Rising, Blue Land, and our favorite spicy brand, Fly by Jing. Haruko, welcome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so this is like the part of the show where we talk about the news. The thing that I really wanted to be when I was little was an actress, and my parents were like, no one wants to see an Asian face. And that was, my mom is in the back, by the way. She's the photographer. So I wanted her to witness this today because she told me in 4th grade that no one wanted to see an Asian face on TV or on the screen. And that killed my dreams right away. And so this show was dedicated to that little girl who was super crushed. And my therapist said to print it out, what my mom said, and think about it every day. And I have for the past 30 plus years. So that is what's been driving me. So just to let you know, you can overcome it. It takes a lot of work, but you can do it. And so the point I'm also getting to is I always wanted to then be a late night talk show host. And I didn't want, I didn't want to just see the same old white men. And so I hope that this show is entertaining enough for you guys, where we're doing this for our community, spotlighting emerging artists, existing superstars in our community. I want to meet everybody. I want to know who you are. I want to talk to you. I want to give you guys a platform. And as somebody who, is a professional journalist, help you get media trained if you want to do your own thing, or if you want to talk to the press. So with that said, back to the news segment, AI. AI, I know, what a hard turn. Oh, gosh. All right, Haruko, I think you did what I did, which is not turn the mic on, so.
I think it's on.
Oh, it is on?
Yeah.
Ryan, is it on?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, it's on.
Okay. And Andrea, you both work as your day jobs as graphic designers and as CG artists. Have you been following all of the developments with OpenAI, with DALL-E, with Adobe's Firefly, these new products coming out? Have you been following it closely, or have you just sort of been...
I don't follow it closely personally because I care about my mental health. So,
Good call.
I see enough of it on my Twitter feed.
Yeah.
So I am loosely keeping up with things. I recently started working on a project with a tech brand that's AI driven. So I'm having my first exposure into what AI is and what kind of capabilities it may have for me and what it means for my work. So I'm still figuring it out, but I'm kind of getting there.
What about you, Andrea? Have you been dabbling even a little bit to, I don't know.
Well, most of the news I get about AI is secondhand through my mother, who gets it through Fox News.
Don't you work for a news organization?
I do. I work for a fake news company.
Stop.
Which I will not name.
It's just funny that your mom
I
is the
do.
one sending you links to news stories.
I do, but she will say hey, do you still have a job? I'm a graphic designer. She's like, do you still have a job with all the AI stuff? Do you still... And mind you, it was 2 weeks that she asked every 2 weeks. And she's like, do you still have a job? Or are you still employed? So luckily, the pace of technological advancement is not that quick.
But have you dabbled in it though?
I have.
And what do you think of it? Which program specifically, and what do you think of them? Because we do have a lot of creatives.
We do.
Team Helvetica in the house. I heard you guys back there.
That's very European of you all.
You Helvetica?
Yeah, are you right?
Oh, I don't know. Is it Helvetica a European?
It's Swiss.
Swiss?
But you know, it does help my job a lot because, you know, you guys have probably used Photoshop, and sometimes there's like a selection tool that'll help you get rid of the background very quickly. And it used to be so hard. You have to do like every little hair individually. You know, when I crop out the X's of whoever in their photos, but now you can click remove background. So it helps me in a lot of ways.
And you, Haruko, haven't dabbled?
I have started to dabble. I've been very apprehensive about jumping into it because I think there's this feeling that it can replace what I do very easily. So I've been very hesitant about it. And I think I'm hesitant because, you know, my career as a creative and as an artist is a calling. Like ever since I was a child, I really wanted to be an artist. And my joy of the artwork comes from the creation process when it comes from conceptualization all the way to execution. And to me, it felt like, before I kind of stepped into it, it felt like AI was taking the joy out of this thing that I love, because it's kind of like you can kind of jump straight to the end of it and you don't have the entire process to get to the end point. But as I'm working, you know, more with AI, what I'm realizing is that it could be used as a tool for me when it comes to my work, when it comes to things like conceptualization, just mashing ideas together, things like that. Or it can also help me bring my artwork onto a much larger scale, because you can generate infinite amounts of content on a model that's trained specifically on my work. So there are parts of it that I like, but there are some parts I don't. I think the ethics of it is a little bit hazy when it comes.
What specifically?
Using other artists' work to train your model. I think it's almost like stealing another artist's style to generate work, and I think that sort of area of AI art specifically right now, it's a lot of gray area, and I think us as artists, we need to advocate for ourselves and, you know, what we think is fair when it comes to the legalities of, you know, training models.
But can you do that? I mean, if your art is on the internet, that's being ingested by Bing already, by, you know, DALL-E. Like it's almost as if you don't even know who to call. Like there's no customer service line saying, please stop training this model on my style.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's super hazy, but you know, I think things with AI and, you know, rapidly changing technology, it's not going to stop. So a lot of this is about like, what does all of this mean to me, and how do I adapt this into my work? And yeah.
Talk about the filter you put on your images to make it harder for the model to train.
Ooh, okay. What is this?
So backstage, I had mentioned that a few people have used my images to train a model, and then they send me the art that they've made from it, which of course for me, I'm a little bit like, oh my gosh, like, please don't do that.
They don't know that that's super offensive.
I think they're more really excited about what they were able to generate based on sort of my artwork. So I understand the excitement about it, but at the same time, I do want to protect myself. You know, I don't want my artwork to just kind of be floating around and be used for all sorts of things. So there's a new thing called, like, I think it's glazing your images. So you can't see the data when you just look at the image, but it puts these like blue pixels or something onto the images that when you train it into a model, it starts kind of degrading it over time. So that's one way, you know, we can protect.
Not like the
our work.
nail style of glazing, donut glazing. But
No.
This is like an actual like protecting your IP. Mm-hmm. Is anybody else here toying with these generative AI platforms at all?
Yeah.
You don't want to raise your hand. You're embarrassed.
No, I just feel like I'm not an expert, therefore.
What, in AI?
No.
That's okay, but you're an artist too, so you don't want to share that you've been using AI to?
No, it's more, I think the reason I don't want to share in a sense because I often get paid to use AI.
So is...
And then it's iffy because it's not like I just like stumble upon this and then start to make a lot. It's like someone actually pays me to try these things out.
Oh.
And then, you know, and then it's different because it's not like, I am basically getting paid to come up with concept to use that versus people are doing that on their own, you know?
But the conceptualizing is something that you talked about as a use case, right? It just helps you, like, it's like writer's block. I don't know, I mean, I don't know if you've used it for comedy either, Andrea, but like I just interviewed Fitz, who is the lead singer of Fitz and the Tantrums. I don't know if anybody knows that band. Make Your Hand Clap. That song? Yeah, that guy. And he's been using ChatGPT to sort of generate some of his lyrics as a starting point. And, you know, he's like writing 80 to 90 songs per album. And when he is writing that much, he like is burnt out. And so AI can kind of help him. Does that sound like a possible use case for you when
personally, for me, that's where the use case would start. Let's say I'm approached by an editorial client and they send me the story. I might start mashing together some symbolism and imagery to just, I'm looking for the spark that starts the creative process for me. And that's where AI would kind of help me kind of think about different ways to visualize, like, I don't know, like cocktails or water or some kind of like concept that's the article is based around.
What is the most tedious part of your job that you would want AI to help you to perform?
God, so much stuff. My whole job is tedious, I think. I think, I'm going to speak a little bit technically about what I do, but if I could have AI kind of generate 3D assets for me.
Because that's your specialty. Let's talk about that. Because your specialty is...
So I do 3D modeling. I do a lot of really wild environmental kind of scenes, and I put product in it most of the time. So there's elements that I would like AI to generate for me, whether those are like the flowers in the background or like a caterpillar or something like that, because otherwise I have to sit down and model all of these things on the computer by hand. So it would cut some time for me if that was possible.
And then I think, Andrea, since you and I are both in news, I think about a lot, like breaking news, when that happens, how nice it would be if we could just put into a program, rewrite this press release, right? Or for you, you do a lot of social video, graphic design, and that is also tedious in its own way, plus the volume. What part of your job would you want AI to help you with?
No, that's true. I mean, at my company, they make a lot of social media videos, and most of them are automated in the sense that they're like templatized. So instead of having to design each one from scratch, where like the text pops up and there's a little underline that gives it pizzazz, someone who's not a designer can use these preset templates and type in their text. It will generate them. So that's automated in its own way. It's a template, and that is a good thing because that frees up the designers to do something more creative or that will involve more brain space. So I do a lot of like slide decks. I hope my boss is not watching this. Okay. I do a lot of slide decks, and it would be great if a lot of that tedious stuff could be automated in like an elegant way, because then it would free me up to do something else. Maybe more
comedy.
Or more comedy too. That'd be cool. I haven't tried plugging in, like, if I just put a bunch of jokes. Yeah, it would probably be really whack, like weird things. But also that could be good. But it's like, it's not really, I think that, I know people have said this, like the term artificial intelligence, it's like a little misleading because it's sort of gives it more power than it has. It's not like a brain, it's not a disembodied brain. It's just like a statistical model. You have to give it an input, and then it is really good at recognizing patterns, So you can only, like your output is going to be derivative of that input. It's not like the answer to the premise lies in, the answer to what you're gonna get is like, it lies in the premise. It's not going to be like some novel, a lot of like human creativity relies on like, pulling unique inspiration from different places in a surprising way, and AI is not going to be able to do that because it's only just going to produce more of what you already have.
Andrea seems way less worried than Haruko is.
Well, I think Andrea brings up a really good point. Like, if we remove the humanity from art, is it art any longer? And I think about that a little bit. I don't think, for me personally, I think you need the human touch to create art, because I think art is important, I think, in the world and in society, because it says a lot about where someone's from. It's this like, it's these beautiful things that people connect to, there's stories to it. And I think it is something that AI can't replicate necessarily because it isn't a human being. And I think we do want things that come from other human beings when it comes to art. So
yeah, but
I don't have a point, but like it,
Well, I mean, ultimately, is AI, I guess my last question really is AI like a paintbrush, or is it something entirely different where the tool is, I don't know,
I have so many thoughts on this. I think AI ultimately is going to be a really great tool. Andrea and I were actually talking about this backstage, about how we're kind of, I think you can speak more eloquently to this, but you had mentioned that we're kind of entering this new age where it's a new version of automation, and I think you should probably explain this, but I feel like you were saying in history, whenever we hit these kinds of point in industries, there's a lot of fear, but ultimately it turns into a tool that helps us to to kind of like further our industry, whatever that means.
Oh yeah, I think I was saying like that's been the one constant in history which is like a fear of automation or like robots taking over. Like we were talking about, because I work with typography, like when they introduced the printing press, people were freaking out. They were like, oh my God, this robot is gonna take our jobs. Like the scribes were all very powerful because they were attached to the
Scribes.
church.
I don't know that anybody's ever used scribes
Yeah,
in the
okay,
real world,
so
like
before,
casual
okay,
way, but writer, right?
So when, you have the Gutenberg Bible that came out in like 1433 or something, right guys? Okay. Relatable. And before then, all the books were like handwritten, like by scribes with quill pens or whatever. And they didn't really produce any other books because they didn't really have the resources. It was just Bibles. And then when printing was introduced, it was referred to as like a dark art, and printers like did their work in secret because the church was very powerful, and the scribes that were connected to the church were like kind of like unionized or whatever, and there was like a fear around it, and we celebrate it now. It's like, oh my God, printing is so great, but it's like at the time there was a real fear, and those scribes, like, they lost their jobs, whatever, and printing like allowed us to make advances in like literacy, because then they had resources to print things other than just Bibles. They could print like dictionaries and like readers and things. Or like, isn't there something about like when the written alphabet was introduced, the Latin script, some guy was
Not
like,
prepared my history lesson for
Some
this.
guy
I'm
was
so
like,
sorry.
oh, this is gonna...
I'm like trying to go back to History 101. But I understand what you're saying. I mean, it obviously, like, I'm just jumping ahead to now where I'm thinking we have a platform called X, formerly Twitter, and so we went from like the printing press to this kind of crazy automation, and there's levels of it. But I understand what you're saying, because it allowed for the distribution of information and more people to have access to it and to be more literate.
Yeah, I'm just saying this is like a point in history that's always happened.
It's, right.
Or like,
every
okay,
time.
the other thing. Sorry, last thing. Okay, when they introduced like the washing machine in the 1950s and like the dishwasher, everyone's like, oh my God, this is gonna decrease the amount of work that like housewives have to do. But now it just increased like the expectation for those women, right? And it created more work. You guys remember this?
I do remember the 1950s.
Remember the
very
1950s,
clearly.
you guys? Just kidding.
I understand. Every time that there's a new, invention that comes out, we have this. This is a topic that we can go on forever on, and we're gonna probably talk about it again in the future. But I just want to thank you guys for just sharing your thoughts now, because it's impacting you every day very intimately. So thank you both for joining today, and we're gonna bring you back on. We're gonna move the conversation to AI in Hollywood a little bit, because that was the real big conversation this year, and the strikes that were happening. So without further ado, I want to introduce our next guest, who is sitting right here, Perry Leung. I want to give Perry's formal bio. He hails from Oakland, California, where he was born down the street from Bruce Lee's martial arts studio. He is an award-winning actor, activist, and musician, and he has also studied Japanese shakuhachi flute? Shakuhachi flute. And he makes these, or you learned about making these flutes in Japan. He is best known right now, for those of you who've been watching HBO's show, HBO Max, sorry, not HBO, very different, Max's Warrior, Father June. Perry, welcome to the show. Thank you. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Hope. Thank you for having me. And for the record, I am a real person. I am not AI right now.
Yes, exactly. I have to pinch you. I feel like that's the new thing. But that's also why I like live events.
Absolutely.
Because people are watching this right now on YouTube. People are gonna watch clips of it. But to be here in the room is a very different feeling. It will always be different. And I know as an actor, you understand exactly how that feels, like in the moment, versus maybe even watching yourself 3 or 4 times after the
I mean,
cut.
you can ask everybody in this room, and we were just talking about that with Haruko and Ziping, that theater will be on the rise with AI in Hollywood and TV, right? Because people will want to be in a room with real people telling stories like it used to be around the fire.
Is that why you all came out to the event? Maybe? No, is it, what? Well, no, I mean, we don't have a literal campfire, but I feel like that's why I go to events now, because you have this FOMO of, you're like, you know what, I don't know, I really want to be there in person, right? Connection. I love you two. You guys are connecting with me. I'm gonna get your number after this. So now, are you going to do more theater then as a result?
Well, I came from theater. I had a theater group with Rick, a SLANT performance group. We started in 1995, and I had met Rick in '91 with Pan Asian Rep. We did a show called Cambodia Agonistes in 1992. Previous to that, there was nothing I could get casted into, right? So Pan Asian Rep is an Asian American theater company. Finally, I got casted in something, and we just couldn't. I kept running into Rick and our other member, Waylon Quintero, in auditions, and we could just not get cast because all these things were for, we were telling the great white story, right?
Well,
Broadway, the great white way.
For people who don't know what a casting call sheet looks like, it is, I mean, it's almost illegal how they ask for certain workers to even apply for these jobs, right? So I was on your IMDb, and I was looking up one of your oldest credits, and it dates back to 1999, which you may have been doing things way before, but this is just what IMDb said. And in 1999, the character you were cast at was for a movie called Man of the Century, and he was listed in the credits as, this is for real on his IMDb, Chinese boy. You didn't have a name, you didn't have, I mean, you can tell me about the role, but when you got the casting call even for that role, I mean, you were probably excited because there weren't even roles saying that they needed a man who was Asian.
Well, I forgot how I even got that call, but I think I remember showing up and it was like, oh, it's a sort of a dance, like we do at floor shows. So there's like Ron Domingo and Quintero and another Asian guy, and we're doing an Asian, like a dance, a floor show dance, which is like kind of like what's that big flower drum song, right? We're doing a floor show, and so it's like it's an indie rom-com in New York City, and this woman ends up in this underground nightclub, and there's this floor show, and there's these 4 Asian guys dancing with this white woman, like lifting her up and everything. So we didn't even have names, right? It wasn't even called, like, we weren't even listed as Chinese boy or anything. I think it was just dancers at the time, Chinese dancers. So
who the heck wrote Chinese boy as your character?
Somebody who filled out the form for IMDb eventually, in the credits.
So talk about the journey that it's been for you from your perspective of doing theater, of navigating a probably much more difficult environment than what you're seeing now. I mean, I want to talk also about the casting process for Warrior, how that must have felt. I don't want to give anybody any secrets of the show away, but I was devastated by lots of things that were happening in the show, and you were one of my favorite characters. And so when I knew that we were even 1 degree away, I was like all about it. Anyway, enough about me and you. So but take us through that journey of what that was like in the late 90s, mid 90s, to what the casting process is now for Asian creatives, Asian actors.
Wow. I mean, the industry has changed dramatically. I mean, I after 1999, I dropped out of acting because there was just nothing for someone like me to do in television and film. So I let go of my agent in television and film because there was just nothing. I mean, there was the once in a year Law and Order Chinatown episode. Like, that's what you're waiting around for all year long. And
you knew it, and everybody knew it,
and we all knew who was going to get the part. So
Jeff,
I was lucky to have found.
Thank you, Jeff.
I was lucky to have found the shakuhachi, and what people say to all artists, I think, and actors is like, you should have a side gig. You should have something to do while you're doing your art, because your art might never pay the bills, but at least you could keep doing your art. So I dropped out because there was literally nothing to audition for. And then I saw non-traditional casting come in, which meant like, oh, like people are getting woke, and they like black people want to play regular people on stage, and Asian people want to play regular people on stage. We want to be your neighbors. We don't want to just play Asian roles and black roles and Latino roles, right? We want to be non-traditionally cast.
Was that a decision that you all came to together somehow to push back against how unfair the casting had been?
It was a big movement in the whole acting community. I mean, I think the
late
whole
mid
world.
no, but mid 2000s or early.
It was in the mid 90s.
Mid
90s, around late 90s, and I remember it coming in, and I thought, this is great, because I can audition for a guy named Joe Smith, You know, just the guy who's selling hot dogs on the street. I could be that guy. It doesn't say Chinese guy anymore, right? So, but even then, it was slow to open. And I dropped out, you know, because I was lucky to found, you know, the shakuhachi. I was smitten, you know, I heard the sound of the flute in a theater production, and I just went, I got to play that flute, you know, and this was pre-internet. So you couldn't just go out and buy a Japanese Zen flute anywhere. So the musician that played it, Yukio Tsuji, was a Lamama musician. He turned me on to it. He said, look, come to my place, I'll show you my flutes, you know, and I learned how to make them by just copying his flutes because I couldn't buy them anywhere. So that journey took me to Japan. I ended up living in Japan, studying with a master, and I went, oh my God, I'm never gonna act again. I'm loving shakuhachi, and you know what? There's nothing in film and TV for me anyway. And this was just shortly after Joy Luck Club aired, you know, and you're thinking like, before Joy Luck Club, what was there in American mass media, Hollywood, for Asian Americans?
So you quit before or after Joy Luck Club?
I quit after Joy Luck Club because it still didn't take off. I mean, there's still nothing for us to do.
So you saw Joy Luck Club and you said, I still don't see enough progress, I'm out of here.
There's just nothing was coming in audition calls. There was nothing. I mean, you know, Wang was the director, was making a splash, you know, and it was a big, you know, sort of kicking the door open, just like what's that recent rom-com? The big rom-com recently.
Crazy Rich Asians.
Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh my
sorry,
God.
I'm having a senior moment.
No,
I'm having a senior moment.
I was like, wait,
you
am I
know?
missing another one?
Yeah, no. So Crazy Rich Asians. I mean, that sort of really kind of changed the game, right? The industry, and we're seeing things trickle in. It still didn't really take off till Shang-Chi came about, right? And Shang-Chi and The Farewell, right? And we started to see like, oh my God, we are really getting our foot in the door of Hollywood. But I think it really took the pandemic and the violence against our community to say, hey, we have to tell our own stories. We can't leave our history to the conqueror, right? We have to tell our stories. And I'm seeing some amazing, amazing indie films being written right now by AAPI writers.
So then when did you decide you wanted to enter back into this field that you probably very sadly left and really, that you probably didn't want to?
Well, this is really funny because I was watching it from afar, right? I was in my workshop making shakuhachi flutes, a very solitary thing.
And this is your side gig.
This is my side gig.
And you're making money doing this,
making
selling
money,
it,
you know, eBay,
playing it, performing it.
The internet came about, and I'm like, oh my God, I could make a living off this.
Wow.
You know? And found a great teacher in New York City, Ralph Samuelson, and it was just like kind of mentored me into the world, traditional Japanese arts world. But it was boring at home eventually, you know? I was like, I missed the stage. And I've been watching TV, and suddenly here's this show, you know, that with the leading Asian man, Lost, with Daniel Day-Kim, right? And you're like, oh my God, look at this beautiful man, this Asian man that's a lead.
That jawline.
Right? I can say that, right? Beautiful Asian man, right?
Absolutely.
As a lead actor, you know. And Rick and I know Daniel. We pounded the pavement together as stage actors, you know. And I remember Daniel going, I got a kid coming. I got to make a living. So he moved to LA, you know. So I saw Lost, and I saw Justin Lim's Better Luck Tomorrow, and I went, oh, it's really happening now, you know. And then I went, you know what? Then I had kids also, so I stayed home, and my kids got to a certain age, and I went, I can get back into acting now. I could start trying to like memorize lines, do auditions.
Did you have daddy brain? Is it like the same as mommy brain?
Yes, everything's in a haze. I think everything's still in a haze now. My kids just went to college,
Absolutely.
you know, so I'm coming out of the haze now. But so around 2017, before that, before I got in, it was 2013. My oldest was 10. And I'd been out of acting for about 10 years. And I saw an audition in an Asian American theater or film group on Facebook by looking for
here in New York?
Here in New York. And it was a cold call. It was saying they're looking for an older Asian Chinese actor for The Nick. And it was Steven Soderbergh's series. And so I went, I'm just going to audition for that. What the heck? It's going to be my way to get back into acting. There was no television or film for me before, but this could be the way that I leave the workshop, right? So I sent in my audition, and it was rough, and they wanted to see a callback. And so a friend of mine.
What do you mean it was rough?
Because I had never done a self-tape. And I was doing
that
theater.
That was a
new thing for me.
Got it.
So I had like my son read the other side, like the lines. So it was like really just like I knew nothing, about being a professional actor. I didn't have an agent or anything like that. So when I got the call back, I told a friend of mine who was a film actor. He goes, "Oh my God, you got a call back? Let me work with you." So we sat together, he tutored me with the camera and how to actually deliver lines for the camera. Very different thing for an actor on the stage, right? Because the camera is like right there in your face. You don't talk to somebody way back there. So I did that audition, they called me in, and I got the part. So that was my way in, and it was like I knew nothing. I was scared shitless on the set because I just knew nothing about television.
I mean, that was a prestige show, right? You got Clive Owen, big
Right.
fan of him, right?
Right.
Like Closer, all these other other movie with the post-apocalyptic, can't remember the name of it. Anyway, I mean, I remember when that show came out, and you were, I mean, being part of that probably opened the door for Asians to call, like that was your re-entry. Did you think that you would have another start again or another chance?
Not at all. I mean, nobody was more surprised than my partner.
But you
and I,
raised
when
your
I got
hand
it.
for because even older Asian is probably even a rarer character than other kinds of roles that are out there.
So that was the interesting thing because before I dropped out, I was in my early 30s, right? And I wasn't castable in anything, right? And so I wasn't old enough to be cast in anything either. So 10 years later, I was able to audition for older Asian male actors because I couldn't do it before. So that was a really interesting thing, and I didn't. And I'm starting to see more roles for older Asian male roles. So.
Do you have any suspicions as to why this is happening? That that there are more roles for especially older Asian actors right now?
Well, I mean, only anecdotally, I think that our culture, our community is asking for it. Our community is asking for stories. I mean, I've been in some indies where I play the father, and these father roles are pretty amazing.
Your director's here.
Yes, Patrick Chin of A Father's Son.
Yay, Patrick!
Yes.
Thank you for coming out.
Wrote a beautiful film based on Henry Chang's books, Detective Yu stories.
We'll put the links in the YouTube.
Yes, starring Tai Ma, Ronnie Chang. He got us in, it tells a story of our community, right? So it's like, things aren't gonna change unless there's a demand, right? And our community is demanding it.
But also you need people behind the camera to produce, to write, to direct.
Absolutely. We need everyone, actually. We need people, the creators behind the camera, fundraisers. We need a lot of people in just, teachers, educational, audiences. We need everyone to start this movement, right? The audience has to demand it.
But
The
because
culture has
this
to demand
helps.
it.
When you see this gives you a sign that there's demand, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'm asking for myself, honestly. This is a sign, right? And I also want to bring it now to this current moment because Warrior has had such a cult following. It was canceled, and then I was part of the crowd that tweeted to bring you guys back because that show, and Ryan knows this because he was like, why are you watching such violent TV shows before bedtime? I would binge watch Warrior during the pandemic, and it got out a rage in me in such a way that I couldn't do, obviously, in my home and seeing everything else. And so what was that like for you guys to first, make the show, get cast in it, and then see the response to so much so, again, that they brought it back?
Did you tell Ryan the real reason why you're watching it late at night? I mean, there's some good-looking Asian guys on that show, right? I mean, like.
Well, there's also reason.
I'm not talking about me.
No,
right?
you are. No, you are super sexy. No, there's also a reason why Ryan doesn't watch the show with me. Probably because he doesn't want to see it either.
There's a lot of shirtless Asian guys, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. He probably, no. He'll like pop in. He'll be like, all right, and just like walks out of the room. But so back to how you saw the project come to fruition because I talked about your intro in the beginning. You have a very deep connection to Bruce Lee.
Okay, so around 2016, I saw a Deadline, our industry website, announced that Justin Lin was going to produce Warrior, based on a script that Bruce Lee wrote. I went, oh my God. I called my manager and said, I will audition for anything on that show. Just get me an audition for anything. That was 2016. Then there was no audition calls, nothing, for like a year. 2017, I got a call to audition for a character that was in his 70s with a shock of white hair and a white eye.
You feel?
I went, I'm going to audition for that guy.
Yeah,
Even though I'm not 70 years old, but I will audition for anything, right? So I went in for the audition, and I had just come back from getting my oldest into high school. So I went to his high school orientation. And I was, oh my God, there's so much to think. He was all nervous. I was late. I was like, I put him in a cab, got him home. I got to the audition office, 5 minutes to spare, and I'm gonna I got 5 minutes to meditate. As soon as I walk in the door, they went, "Oh, Perry, are you ready to go?" I went, "Oh my God!" So I get in there, I do the monologue, Father June's monologue, and
Do you remember it?
I can't say it right now.
Oh, did you sign
No,
something?
I didn't sign an NDA, but I have,
Got it. No
senior
worries.
moments these days.
Yeah.
I can't remember
So
my
you
monologues.
did your monologue.
I did my monologue.
Killed
Well, here's the thing. The casting agent went, okay, stop. Just stop doing everything you're doing. They want someone that's solid. I went, holy shit. I didn't think I was doing anything, right? But I had just come from this, orientation. I was flustered probably. And I said, all right, just give me a minute. I turned around, right, away from the camera. I just closed my eyes, and I was like, "This is the moment. This is my moment. This is the moment that, that Bruce Lee opened for me. Bruce Lee wrote the script." And the thing that came to my mind, as cheesy as it sounds, was "Be like water." And I turned around and I said, "Okay, let's do it." So I did the monologue, and she goes, "Great, let's do the next one." And so I did the next monologue, and they all do at these auditions, they went, "Great, see you later." And you're just you have no idea because, they're just there to record the audition. It's going to go up the flagpole, right, to producers and writers and everyone. But it was a long weekend, some sort of Memorial Day weekend. And 4 days later, I got a call. I was driving back from Rhode Island, and I just pulled over and screamed, because it was a life-changing moment. It's one of those things that were you knew that this was going to be one of those shows. How often does a little kid born in Oakland, California get to be in a show that Bruce Lee wrote, produced by his daughter? I mean, it was and that day I saw Shannon Lee on the set in South Africa. I said to myself, don't fuck this up.
I just love that in that moment you knew that it was going to be the moment that changed your life. There was something, what was it about that moment that you knew that you were going to get the call eventually?
Well, I mean, I didn't know I was going to get the call. I just saw the monologue, right? And the monologue just said how important they value these Asian Chinese characters. Because I did a monologue about why I'm fighting for my people in America. I fought the Opium Wars. I fought through the building the
Character, Father June.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm the leader of the Tong in Chinatown. Then this, it's the nefarious group, but he's also fighting for the livelihood of his people and the future and the freedom of his people. And there's a line that just kind of nailed it for me. He goes, we are the most violent Tong in Chinatown because we have to protect from the violence of the ducks, the white people.
Yeah.
And I went, that's my character right there. That line says it all.
And then now with the shows following, have you felt that it's even easier maybe for you to get, or now that, obviously you're known, but even for other Asian creatives to come because of the show itself and it's opening more doors, have you seen that has that materialized into anything that you've seen?
I have gotten to the point where I do get offers, where I don't actually have to audition for a role. They're not much, but it's a big leap from. In our industry, it's a huge leap if you if you're recognizable in any way. If someone knows your name in any way, it's a huge leap from being that sort of nobody actor to sort of somewhat being recognized. So I'll get offers, which is kind of huge and amazing for that to be at that level. Not all the time, but so I've seen that shift for me.
And this last question, as we segue into our next segment, have you seen more people commenting certain kinds of things about the way that you might appeal to them in a romantic way on social media or anything? Has that changed from the time that, because Father June is who watches Warrior here? A couple of you guys, I know you do. Yeah. Everybody on that show is incredibly intoxicating to watch on screen. And so has that at all been in your fan base a change that you've seen in the response to the characters?
Well, no one's throwing underwear at me, put it that way. But I get weird stuff on social media. You know what I mean? But it's
like everybody.
But generally, it's really good. People I get a lot of AAPI people saying you're representing. Which feels good because that's why I'm in this industry to represent. So I I know that some of the other guys and the women definitely they get. I mean, it's like any celebrity.
Sure.
You know, you're going to get a lot of weird.
But I think you did break some stereotypes, and right, I feel like with the show too, and that was really important. And so the last segment of our show before we have a special performance from you and your bandmate Rick here is about the Asian stereotypes, but specifically Asian male stereotypes. And the reason why I wanted to start the first live show on this topic is because I have found in talking to my friends it is the most unspoken issue, and I feel that there is more that we can do, not only to help heal inside of our community the trauma that has been sort of passed down against toward us, right, of these stereotypes, but also that there's a lot of really cool people who are changing the stereotypes themselves through their work. So I want to welcome to the stage two very special guests. One who I just met a few weeks ago, Karho Leung. He is the Director of Culture at 12 Pell, a barber shop in Chinatown. Yes, listen, so Karho, oh, you guys can sit, closer. Don't be shy. And and then the other part of your following that you've built with your brand is that you have over 2 million followers now on social media, and he says that he's on a mission to change the stigma around blue collar workers and to empower young artists. But I gotta say, your swagger that you brought with your team when I met you, I was like, if I grew up with them, like younger, I don't know where I'd be, but I'd definitely be a different place. And I also want to welcome my friend Zapang. He is an amazing artist. Zapang Zhu is a Chinese-born artist and designer in New York City. He wants to make every day a razzle-dazzle musical. He is the founder of his creative practice Dazzle Studio. I had to make sure my outfit was louder than his. I don't know if I succeeded. He is also the recipient of numerous art and design awards. His work has been exhibited all over the world, and I have to give him incredible amount of thanks because he is the reason that I have a brand, that I have a logo, that I have any kind of image concept, because I called him up after seeing his design on Ronnie Chang's Hope You Get Rich red envelopes, and he graciously picked up the phone. We got on Zoom, and we have tried this for a couple of years now, but I am so grateful for your friendship and support through all the years, and I'm so happy that you're here today.
Anytime, baby.
Yes, I know, the Zoom mic. Sorry, guys, I'm muted. Are we muted?
I think it works.
Okay, good. So I wanted to bring you guys on because I think, and you know, I feel like I can say this because you're confident in where you are in your age, but sort of 3 different generations, right, of what it's been like to live through stereotypes, different stereotypes of Asian men. And also, Zapan, from your perspective, there's a lot of discrimination on the gay dating apps as well. I've had a lot of horrible conversations about horrible things with my friends who, have been fetishized on these gay dating apps as well. So I kind of want to start, again, with the question that I had asked you earlier. Have you seen, Perry, a change in the way that Asian males have been, portrayed in the media, and also, and how has that been in real life? Has that changed perceptions, too, when you have strong, attractive male Asian characters on TV? Has that changed perceptions, do you think, in real life?
Well, speaking only for myself, I have seen the change. I mean, again, I studied I had Asian American media in class. I have an Asian American minors from 1985 at San Francisco State. So we had an Asian American medias class, and there was nothing, nothing with Asian Americans in it, really,
That's so
Yeah,
ironic.
it was just wrong, right? This was So I've seen a lot change. And again, with today's shows, I think I've counted 10 scripted TV series with that are Asian American centered. So, but for the Asian male, we're just more dimensional now. We have more life. We're not just one trope anymore. We're not just that silent patriarch father who's strict or whatever. We have a life, which is kind of amazing. So I've seen that shift.
One of the things that I've talked to my friends about is that they have felt, because the media had portrayed Asian men in a certain way, and this is according to a U.S. Annenberg study of over 1,300 top-grossing films, Asian men were portrayed as weak. They were portrayed as very as untrustworthy, and that they are people who should not be the objects of romantic desire. And I've had a lot of Asian men talk to me in my life about how they bemoan that perception that's out there because they feel like that's why they're not getting dates. That's why they're not. Do you find that to be linked to be true?
Absolutely, and you're talking about Hollywood. So what I was talking about was indie films and Asian the up and coming produced films that are produced by AAPI, which is a new wave that's coming. But you're talking about something that's traditional Hollywood, and it is a system. It's a systemic, system of control and oppression, and we are there to serve their stories. Right, so and you could say the same thing for Blacks, indigenous cultures, that we have no voice in Hollywood, or very little.
Right, yeah, and so funny because when I met Karho about a couple of weeks ago, like I said, I was very taken by your charisma, your riz. Term now. You blew me away with your social media presentation because I had no idea that your brand existed, which made me feel very old also. But when I was going through your accounts later, 12 Pell, it's very clear, I feel like Asian men these days have no lack of confidence that I've seen in prior generations. Is that true?
And when you guys were talking about in media and in movies, it's funny because I'm not sure if I grew up oblivious to it, but the only time it really stood out to me was when it was the Asian kid, the student in the class that was good at math, and he would look nerdy, but I never felt I identified with that.
Wait, you grew up in Maine. Let's set the stage. So the fact that you didn't feel this, was that just because there weren't other Asians to have you bounce off your identity off theirs and be like, hey, we're different? Or how did that impact the way you perceived yourself?
I think at that time, when I was age 6, I think I saw race because I was different. And but when I moved to New York, I no longer identified with race with my identity as much as I do now. And I think it took some time to build that up. And from what I knew, especially with the identity thing, I was speaking with earlier about how it's oh, the Asian boy that's a nerd. I always resonated with the positive elements, but not so much the detrimental. So it's when I look at that, it's oh, I like math too. Is that a bad thing? And
so you weren't
me too.
Yeah, it was oh yeah, you're gonna make fun of me because
wow.
I can do math. I'm gonna make fun of you because you can't, And
I love that.
For me, it's I feel like you can look at all the positive things that come out of it, and it's how you frame that narrative for yourself. So if you manifest any of these negative, it becomes perpetual, right?
Yeah.
But if you believe opposite and it's hey, I can like math, but I can also have swag. I can also riz it up. I don't think that people are gonna look at you and be you can't do that,
Perry, this has to be a generational thing. I did not have this when I was Karho's age.
I mean, America is such a huge place, right? It just
true.
depends on what you're exposed to, whether you are a consumer of mass media or not. I grew up in Chinatown, Oakland's Chinatown. I was into mass media and film where some of my friends weren't influenced by it. They didn't feel the sort of emasculation of the Asian male, but they felt racism, So it just depends on the your culture.
And let's bring it real current to what you're doing now with your platform, because you also made me feel really I don't know, I felt really insecure when I was oh, we did this.
It's okay,
video.
we only have 20% female.
No. I'm saying you came in, you're oh, nice studio. He's we already have one down the street. And I was what? I was so you have this platform built around this culture of hairstyling, and I don't know anything about it, obviously, for males, but is there a way that you've been, I guess, seeing a generational divide even in your chair of Asian men who have confidence at a certain level, or do you guys talk about stereotypes at all? What's that conversation like? Because I am clearly not in those rooms.
Yeah, well, I mean, for starters, being in the beauty industry, it is very empowering when you can help someone feel their best. And so because we have that platform and we can help guys, so just to kind of give everybody an idea what our platform looks like is we have about, it's actually 3 million followers.
Sorry. Wait.
Shots fired.
I sent you the rundown and you did not correct me. So I'm just going to say, I gave you your bio. So 3 million followers across Instagram, TikTok.
And YouTube. And I think that it's grown really, really rapidly over the years. Right now, we're still seeing that trend up, and we're seeing a real kickoff right now with YouTube, and it's going pretty wild. But like, I think largely because people love to see the transformations that we're able to do, like see the confidence, like literally, like we'll have the before shot of somebody before they get their haircut, and then their after shot, and it's like their face is completely lit up. And this is all organic. These are not paid actors. These are not people that are like as seen on TV situations. Like, this is real life people that come to our shop, and we just ask them, "Hey, are you okay with being filmed today?" And people see that type of reaction, they love it. And it's really empowering for like the audience, because I think they realize that a change is much easier in reach than they think. And like that they also can feel good. And it's like, it's just takes a simple haircut appointment.
Last question before we get to the pen. Teen Vogue recently wrote, quote, "Asianness has a newfound currency, and Asian men especially can feel it in the way they live online. Current Asian masculinity is no longer fused to unfuckability, but an idealistic fever dream of a respectful boyfriend who showers and brings you Instagrammable bouquets and has great skin." Is this a different kind of fetishization?
Ooh, that's a good one. Wow. I think I can see the truth in that, because it is definitely being highlighted much more in mass media, especially across like all these new hit series, like
K-dramas?
the K-dramas, but also that reality dating show on Netflix. It's not. No. Is it Love Is Blind? No. It's not Love Is Blind, but it was the one where it was like all the Koreans were dating. It was a Korean dating show.
Willa!
Terrace House. Singles Inferno.
Was that
Yes.
Willa? Was that Willa with the right answer?
Singles Inferno. But like, it's like there is this highlight of this attraction, and Asian masculinity in itself is very unique because it's masculine to take care of yourself. Like girls see the way you move, and they like that you have a more than one step skincare routine.
Well, they're probably borrowing,
More than water,
They're probably borrowing your skincare routine.
Yeah.
So let me get this straight. So we've swung from, again, going back to the USC Annenberg study of these 1,300 mass media movies, we've gone from weak, shy, lacking initiative, and being absolutely undateable, and the other word that I said very quietly, to now incredibly attractive for all the sort of feminine kind of reasons. Is that the right arc that you guys are seeing between, at least on the hetero side here?
And I think that in beauty,
Sorry, was that not the right term?
No, it's just funny. The heteros.
Well, I mean, I want to be distinctive. We have different
It's
communities.
accurate. No, it's accurate. No,
I want to just.
I love the awareness.
Okay. But yeah, so is that the arc? We've gone from absolutely no to like, what moisturizer are you using?
Oh, no, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, like, in the past, it was seen as not masculine to take care of yourself. And so, like, especially in beauty, when a guy cares for, like, oh, like, maybe he would do his nails, like, it's seen as, like, unmasculine. But now it's, like, self-care, and self-care is hot. So, like, you know, if you're
Asian males are leading the way almost in that way.
we've been about it.
Oh? We've been about it. I love it. Yeah, Perry.
If you lived in Japan, the Japanese male, they print more than the females. You know, Japanese men are so, right?
Yep.
They just, everything about the Japanese upkeep, you know, in grooming and plucking eyebrows and dyeing their hair and everything. I mean, they do more than women in Japan. Yeah.
I didn't know that, so that's really good context to have. All right. This is
Gay stuff.
No, it's not even that. It's because I want to make it very clear that the experiences are obviously very different. And I think, but the idea of fetishization is still an issue. I'll just read one thing, and I want to get your reaction to it, because, you know, people who are on the dating apps, even according to the people who run the dating apps, have said that Asian males get the fewest messages and they get the worst ratings of any group of guys, regardless if they are on the gay dating apps or if they are on the other apps. Has that been, unfortunately, your experience, or no? Hopefully not.
Okay, you want to hear something crazy? Before that, I just want to say I Google warrior shirtless all the time on YouTube. So just
There you go.
FYI,
Nice one.
all the time. So there's a term in the gay world called no fat, no Asians on people's profiles. It was just, that's what they listed as their,
So this is not happening anymore?
it's getting okay. Here's the thing.
Okay.
I think racism and preference still exists. However, they are more secretive about it in the sense that I think previously they seemed that it's okay for them to put it out there. Now that they learn that it's not okay, but they will still, if you write to them, they will write other things terrible to you in DM, like in messages instead of on their profile. So it's a little different. They're aware that they're racist, but they don't know how to change about it.
I think you've sent me some screenshots of the awful things they've said to you, or you posted it too on
Yeah.
your own social media.
For sure. I mean, I think experiencing racism for, I think, any BIPOC community is inevitable. And I think sometimes because and here's the thing, right? I think a lot of things are a double-edged sword. And I feel in one way makes the gay communication kind of awesome is because people are very direct. It's just like, here's a photo of my penis and here's a photo of my butthole. And then do you want this to make it happen? And that's the end of the exchange. However,
I'm not in those DMs.
Sure you got those pictures.
but on the other hand, it's sort of in some way because it's somewhat anonymous. I mean, I don't know if you've seen anyone's Grindr profile. It's like there's not a single face in it. Like everyone is just either their torso or something else. And you'd be like, did the anonymousness provide them, I think, a leeway for them to be rude or to be inconsiderate, or give them room to be, say whatever, because what's the worst going to happen? Just they do block you, and which happens all the time, by the way. So I think that happens. But then meanwhile, on the other hand, like I think as an Asian gay man, I feel like there is this Venn diagram of people who are racist and hates me. But then also there are the the circle of people who fetishize me. However, I'm 6'1". And
So they're surprised.
oh my God. So, okay.
Oh, I thought you were going to be much smaller.
Oh my God.
Shorter?
You ready? So usually, during the pandemic, after people meet me in person, they're like, oh my God, you're so much taller than I was expected. But I literally had a guy came to my apartment. I opened the door. He's like, wow, you're so much taller than I was expected, and just walked away. And then I was like, first of all, sir, do you not know how to read numbers? It's on my profile.
On your profile.
I mean, it's not that hard. But the second is like, I don't know what height comes into this equation, like
Right. But that's
I can bend over.
No. But that's clearly a stereotype that they have in their heads that Asian men are a certain physical.
I know. And then that's the struggle. So I was describing the two circles, right? And I feel like I'm that like Venn diagram that doesn't cross because, and that's the dilemma. But on one hand, you are, for the people who don't care about you, they don't care about you. But then on the other hand, I was asked why I don't have a Chinese accent while this person was still inside of me. And then,
Is there a graphic label for YouTube? Just Ryan, are we gonna get kicked off of you? I don't even
I'm
know
sorry,
the
am I
rules.
not allowed to say this?
No, you are.
I am so sorry.
No, you are. I just it's a Thursday night and I didn't have a
Thirsty
drink.
Thursday, hello.
I know, I appreciate the candor. I just
I'm so sorry. Okay, let me rephrase this. Let me rephrase
it's fine.
this.
I just my head has been elsewhere, but continue.
Sorry, Hope's mother. I just met you.
Yes, my mother.
I'm a
Poor
sweet
mother.
boy, I promise.
Okay, go
but
ahead.
so long story short, he asked me, I thought you said you're from China, and said, yes, I am. And then he said, how come you don't have a Chinese accent? And I was like, well, just because I am from China doesn't have an accent,
Right.
doesn't make me any less Chinese.
Is there anything that you're seeing in media that's helping to change the perception of Asian gay men, and has that been helping, or is there just it's all just kind of a cluster?
Well, I have to say, having Bo and Yang and Joachim Booster on TV really helps, because I think they help to bridge gaps in many levels, because I think it's hard to in some, we're always expected to be in some way the submissive one, but I'm sorry, like I run my own business. I can call the shots. I was gonna say something inappropriate again, so I controlled, self-control. Yeah, sorry, YouTube. I mean,
I'll check the rules, and then next one we'll do it.
I didn't say any bad words.
No,
I was just
we did mark this as safe for kids. That was my only concern. But continue.
But the kids have to learn.
The kids do have to learn. Continue.
And I think having Bowen and Joachim Booster and a lot of other young queer actors and comedians be on TV really helps, in a sense that like it can not only show that we can do all of these things, and then funny enough, like Bowen on SNL, right? Like him being the iceberg was somehow the most groundbreaking thing, or him being George Santos.
He was the panda this past weekend, which was...
Yeah, but I think, okay, I actually think, I thought about this when I watched it happen.
The panda, he dressed up as a panda because actually my news outlet wrote about how pandas are, whatever, being traded back and forth between US and China. But go ahead.
But I thought about this when when I saw this, and it's funny because in China, the bear, it's called panda. Like, in the gay community, like the bear, it's called panda because it's it's a Chinese bear. And
okay.
very clever,
So clever.
But I thought about this, but then meanwhile, on the other hand, is like, I thought about the dilemma, he's on the show and they want to talk about panda because that was the story of the week. I mean, they can't have. I think yes, sure. I think probably could have someone else to play the panda, but I think coming from Bowen and then Bowen bring in his own fabulousness into it to made it more than just his ethnicity, and I think in strange ways because he's Chinese that give him, I think, and being queer just allows him to, take it to the next level, to make it not just about, where he's from,
Yeah. I mean, I do appreciate that there are, you just named two. Do we need, we need more than two.
Yeah, of course.
So what else is helping to change the perception that, of all the things that you said earlier about Asian men, about Asian gay men that aren't true? Like, what else is needed?
Well, I think exposure, but then also kind of like what you mentioned earlier, it's like the depth of the characters, right? Like, what I love about Farewell or, Everything Everywhere all at Once, when a character is being portrayed, it's not just like this is the villain or this is the main character. Every single person, it's just like everyone else. We have done things that's great, and there's things that we're not proud of. There are the days that we're happy, the days that we're sad. Like we're not just like a flat image. I mean, I'm a graphic designer. I make flat image all the time, but that's not characters.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And then I think to have, including past lives, right? Like to talk about this connection that didn't came to fruition, which is kind of beautiful because you're changing people's narrative about this expectation. And then I think that's what makes it more relatable because every single person is unique, and then that what makes our humanity special,
One thing I want to ask each of you as we're wrapping is what everyone else can do to help change the stereotypes or to erase them. I mean, stereotypes are terrible, period. So what can the rest of us do, right, to help change that perspective that, it's still in different variations?
I've been saying the same thing since Rick and I were touring with with our show, Big Dicks Asian Men,
Yeah.
the musical.
Yeah.
So we were touring this show across America in 1995, 6, 7, 8. And everybody asked that same question in the Q&As after. Go support your Asian American film festivals and the writers, because they are our modern myth makers, our storytellers. How else? But now there's TikTok, right, and Instagram. But yes, we need content, original,
We need
authentic
content.
content, and that's supporting the content makers and telling authentic stories.
So content is still at the heart of changing narratives.
Content, right? And it takes, again, like I said earlier, things don't change just because a few people want it to. It takes a movement. It takes the whole culture to want change.
One of the things that I always ask myself, and because I'm going a lot now to the communities like here and others, and I always find that it's mostly Asian people in the room, which I think we need that right now. But I would like to see more people who are not Asian come to events like this, come to the Asian Film Festival. How do we reach those audiences?
Well, you just have to stay on top of their social medias for those organizations that are posting it. There's several long-term organizations like Cam Media in San Francisco, the Los Angeles Pacific Film Festival in LA, I mean, ACV, Asian Cinevision here in New York. These are big ones. There's Philadelphia, Boston, Chicago, that are Asian American long-running in Seattle. Just follow them and amplify their festivals because it's about original content. We can't just change a stereotype. We want to tell real stories, and in doing that, it'll change.
The dimensions.
Yeah.
Now, in the real world of TikTok and Instagram, this game that I will not play, and I don't have TikTok, and we talked about this, the algorithms are the gods. Are you seeing a lot of cross promotion of your content across other accounts that are not Asian, that are supporting you, that are whatever they do on TikTok, retweet, that's a Twitter thing, but whatever the TikTokers do to share?
Yeah, I think we were able to break a lot of stigma in the beauty industry, actually. So
How did you do that?
just by posting like crazy. So I think that it's kind of interesting because it's like we talked about earlier, exposure, right? Like back in the day, people used to call our shop and be like, "Hey, can you guys cut? I have Caucasian hair. I have like curly hair. Like can you cut this type of hair? Because we're an Asian barber and we used to be open late." And that was one of the plays that I did when we first opened. Like we would open all the way into 12, and I would personally walk over to the store to cut your hair because I wanted to win that customer. And like those were the type of questions I would get when the person was looking for the last minute haircut and his barbershop wasn't open. And so for me, like answering those questions, I was like, you know what, come in, let me give it a shot. If you don't love it, you don't gotta pay for it. Just try us out.
Are you open after this?
I was just gonna say, can I get my hair cut?
Hook me
after
up.
this?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man, those days are long gone.
Yeah.
Thank God to TikTok. But like, I think to kind of like circle back, it's like exposure, right? And we just kept going at it. And then eventually when we started to build momentum on social media, we started doing 6 videos a day, then 4, then 3, then 2, and now we're at 2, but like we do much higher quality videos now. But when we were putting everything out there, people were calling us still and like, "Oh wow, we saw you on TikTok. Like I want to come in." And it went from like, "Can you do this?" to "When can I get the next appointment? You guys are booked out for the next month." And then it went to we would show up at hair shows and they would be like, "Oh, those are those guys." And like there was not a lot of representation for Asian barbers in the hair industry. It was very, very small, by the way, because in terms of like Asian men being in blue collar, it's not really praised upon. It's like success is often white collar, professional. I used to be an accountant, so like
I love that.
so I lived that
Talking about
narrative.
stereotypes.
Yeah, right. I lived that narrative. I was the nerdy math guy, but like I think that now it's kind of nuts because now we are one of the top in the industry, and we do about 100 to 150 million views a month, and like brands are like they're tapping in with us when they need to tap in with a community outside of just being Asian, because we have such a strong community for hair and beauty. And so like we were able to erase that narrative from "Can you do it? Are these guys about it?" to like, "Oh, if I'm going to New York, I'm gonna visit 12 Pell." And like we're talking about people from all over the world. We get emails people that write in and like, "Oh, your booking system doesn't take my foreign number. Like, can I book an email, like book through you guys?" And so we've broken that stigma, and I think it's like you just got to go at it.
I just love that the masculinity is like clearly there. Like you don't your colleagues, but even your clients probably aren't coming in saying they're not getting dates, right? I mean, they're probably getting a lot of dates, which is why they want to, the haircut and everything. I mean, this is not a conversation that's happening in this generation, true or false?
It is happening. I think that there is a conversation because I think a lot of the times guys do come to us because there is a desire for like this hope that they see this transformation and it could change the game for them. Like just recently we had a video go viral. I think that very much speaks to the point of conversation that we're having tonight. It's like there was this guy, he was very stoic. His younger kid,
Is it an Asian guy?
14-year-old kid. Yeah, the video is going viral right now. I think it's almost at 7 to 8 million views. And we posted it within the last 2 weeks. And like Andy was just one of the guys at the shop. They call him Pencil Barber. My barber's got nicknames. And so Pencil Barber was giving his consultation and says, hey, so what are we doing here? He's like, whatever. And then like the kid responds, he's 14 years old. He's like, whatever. He's like, oh. And then Andy just makes fun of him. He's like, so you want to just buzz it all off? And he's like, okay, I'll try. And then he's like, do you know what that means? And he goes, no, I'm just here for a change. And like, it's like very, very stoic. And like, but at the end, like people the video goes viral. There isn't much change on his face. He's still very stoic, but you can see all the comments go off and be like, oh my God, like I hope this kid like has a newfound confidence. I hope this haircut does a lot for him. And like, he took enough of a first step to be at our shop. And so like the conversation is open now. And then like, will confidence come from it? Like we can only hope so, right? But I mean, it's like us being able to plant that seed and maybe we can make that change, you know?
Do you feel like that Asian men are seen as more masculine now, whatever that means in this sort of context? Because we also know that a lot of people are talking about their pronouns and thinking about their own gender identity. So but I guess the bigger question is there a more positive perception of Asian men that you're seeing now compared to maybe in the past?
Oh, absolutely. I think now there's, outside of beauty, I think being an Asian man, like it's just like financially, like it's great. Like I think if you look at,
what do you mean financially? It's great.
Like if you look at the leading statistic, like Asian guys are becoming up there. You know, like they're the fastest growing in terms of like financial wealth.
Right, and and you know we have to be mindful. Obviously, Asian Americans a huge category, and there's actually a lot of income disparity. But for certain groups of Asian people in the U.S.
I'm not too sure. I picked up on that statistic a while
ago. Well, that's okay. We'll do that for the next topic. But yeah,
or I've been trying to manifest it.
No, for sure. I mean, I think you're doing well with 3 million plus followers. But no, there is a lot of income disparity in the Asian community. But I understand what you're saying. At least that there's a positive perception. So I think on that note, I think it's the best way to end the show is with Perry to perform with his bandmate. Which 2 songs are you performing for us?
Well, we're going to do a song from our first show, Big Dick's Asian Men, the musical, and a song from our second show.
I want to welcome up Rick Ebihara, everyone, from the SLANT Performance Group. All right, I think we're using, which mic are we using? Number 2?
Sure, which mic?
2? Yeah, we'll put 2 on there. No, you're fine. Okay.
How are you all doing tonight?
Yeah!
Yes, let's give the audience a chance to speak. Did we learn anything about AI tonight? Yes. Like, I'm a real guy, right? There's no AI here. Rick's for real. That guy's for real. We did this show, we wrote this song like almost 30 years ago. So it's really weird that we're still doing it. I mean, off and on for 30 years. And it's kind of hard to like just, we're so full of, Big Dick's Asian Men kind of flirted with all the different kinds of masculine stereotypes.
We're full of, what? What were we full of back in 95?
We're full of something I don't have right now, so I got to get it going. We couldn't get any ginseng around here, so. gotta get this going.
All right, all right.
I'm feeling it, Rick. Are you?
What are you feeling?
Feeling the testosterone coming back.
Oh, that's what it was. I saw that commercial.
Here he comes.
Where are you getting your testosterone lately?
Go ahead, Rick. One, two, three, four. S-L-A-N-T. 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 S-L-A-N-T.
We're not the waiters on TV, not the model minority. No little dicks for you and me, no big dicks Asian man.
S-L-A-N-T. S-L-A-N-T. S-L-A-N-T.
Turn the channel and burn the paper. Television says I'm a masturbator. Television says I'm a masturbator. Big dicks Asian man.
S-L-A-N-T. 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 One, two, three, four. S-L-A-N-T. 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 Big dicks Asian
There's a man who leads a life of danger. To everyone he meets, he stays a stranger. Well, every move he makes, another chance he takes. Odds are he won't live to see tomorrow. Secret Asian man, secret Asian man, always giving you a number, but he's taking away your name. Beware of Asian faces that you find. An Asian man, they say, won't satisfy. Well, let us lay on you this tip. By kissing our Asian lips, there's a secret fire we have inside. Oh, secret Asian man, secret Asian man, always giving you a number, but he's taking away your name.
See an Asian man at Welcome to Chinatown in New York City.
On Broadway the next day.
Well, don't think that we don't feel the passion our eyes can see. There's a secret fire we have inside. Secret Asian man, secret Asian man, always giving you a number, but he's taking away your name. Secret
Perry.
Yeah, and so we wrote this song in 1995 because we were questioning masculinity and what was the Asian male masculinity at that time, and we're still confused. So when we did our second song, we realized that we developed a community. Our second show called The Second Coming, 1997, we realized that we had a big audience and a following that we had to address things with.
So we addressed a lot of our stories and where we came from. And Perry and I were talking, and it just so happens that both of our grandparents came to America to work on the railroad. My grandfather came from Japan and worked for the Santa Fe Railroad in New Mexico, and Perry's
Great-grandfather worked in the Union Pacific. Yeah, so.
On the Transcontinental Railroad.
Great-grandfather, sorry.
Yeah. So we wrote this song because we were saying, like, well, you know, what about 3 subway workers? There's a third member that's not here, and we wrote a scene about 3 subway workers and finding their roots, finding why they're there.
And it goes like this. 我平時做緊火箭，上一好辛苦。我平時做緊火箭，做緊工作好耐。Can't you hear the whistle blowing? Rise up so early in the morn. Can't you hear the captain shouting? Dinah, blow your horn.
When I was young, I heard the call at the railroad crossing as the big gate fall. A horn so loud and a rumble so low made the whole car shaking down deep in my soul. I knew right there my destiny was to work on that steel-wheeled rail machine.
做勤力工火箭，做勤力工火箭。
In 1860, my forefathers signed to come to America, work on the line. They made the journey on strong and melt to meet a beast of steam on 300-pound rails. And in my dreams, ghosts spoke to me. I gotta work on that steel wheel rail machine.
做勤力工火箭，做勤力工火箭。
We heard the call as clear as day.
Thank you for riding on the New York City Transit subway.
Working for the MTA, working for the MTA, working for the MTA.
I've been working on the railroad.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Well, thank you guys for that performance. I love that you ended on that song because I think it's a good reminder of all of our roots, is that most of our family came to the States to make a living for their family, for themselves. And so no wonder there's a perception that we're hard workers because we've had to. We didn't have anything here, but now we're all able to branch out into creative fields. And I want to just bring everybody up from the show: Haruko, Zapan, Andrea, Perry, Carho, and also Anuz and Deborah, because you guys are also the original founders of Thanks. So Anuz, come on up here. Deborah, come on up here. I want to thank all of you guys for coming out tonight, for being part of this amazing personal thing for me. But if you guys really enjoyed this, there are 2 things that you can do. One is to follow Thanks. I know it's really confusing. It's THKS on Instagram. So THKS, like Thanks. And then also please donate to welcome to Chinatown, because without them, tonight would not have been possible. They are fundraising to do reconstruction on the space. I will drop the link on the YouTube later on, but please give whatever you can to this amazing organization to support the young women who are at the helm of this, because women drive the economy, let's be real, in a lot of ways. And tonight, thank you guys for being here. Lastly, I hope you guys had fun, and if you have feedback, I don't have an Uber app where you can rate the performance, but if you want to come up after and just tell me what you liked and didn't like, it would be so helpful for me going forward. And I just appreciate and love all of you. Rick, thank you. Come on up here. You're performing. Thank you guys. Give us all a round of applause, myself included. Yes. For all of you who watched on YouTube, I think we hit a maximum of 6 or 7, which is the most ever. But this is the first one of, hopefully, many to come in the new year as they get ready for construction. So thank you all, and have a great night. Thank you.